with the participation of the High Representative. And now I kindly welcome Mr. Borrell to take part in the question time. The topic of the question time is heightening tension between Armenia and Azerbaijan following the recent military escalation. I want to remind you the procedure. The question time will last for about 60 minutes. There will be 1 minute to ask a question, 2 minutes for the reply, 30 seconds for a supplementary question, and 2 minutes for the reply. I remind you that the possible supplementary question is granted only if it is strictly related to the main question and does not consist of a new question. If you wish to ask a question, I invite you to register your request now by using the Catch the Eye function on your voting machine after having inserted your voting card. During question time, interventions will take place from your seat, and I invite all the speakers to stick to the allocated speaking time. Colleagues may need probably a few moments to register their request to ask a question by using the voting machine. Therefore, I ask you again to put your request now, and we will start with the first question. Stadios Kimparopoulos will be the first speaker from the People's Party.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, with the end of the war, this is dead letter. The Azerbaijan is making the most of the situation and has aggressed again. And the stance of the Union has been the same against the aggressiveness. It's just tolerated the condemnation. But the history will show that this was not effective. I realize the economic rates of the Union and relations as its energy partner, but also the country from which I come, Greece. But this is it enough to allow this to happen? We ought, as a Union, to clarify to the Azeri regime that we are not ready to buy out our values. The Union has to take a role even by establishing a peaceful mission to replace the Russians that have taken up this role. Is the Union looking into this possibility?
Señor diputado, la Unión Europea desde el principio ha hecho lo que puede hacer.
The EU, right from the start, has done everything that it can to call on the parties to engage in dialogue, to put in place a ceasefire. Unfortunately, this ceasefire has almost certainly been violated. You mentioned the role of Turkey. It is clear that Turkey continues to support Azerbaijan. When it comes to peace and stability in this region, of course, Turkey has interest there. And now, of course, things have changed because of the Russian aggression against Ukraine. We are asking Turkey to try and use its influence to reduce tensions between the two countries. And, of course, we welcome the goodwill expressed by Armenia and Azerbaijan to try and move to normalization of relations between these countries. It is important that the opening of borders between Armenia and Turkey takes place. This will help to reduce tensions as well. When it comes to ongoing conflict, we have fortunately seen a reduction in the intensity of the conflict. As President Michel and myself have said, we have both been proactive in calling on those parties involved to re-establish the ceasefire. Thank you.
Would you like to use your 30 seconds, colleague, for additional question?
Yes, I'd like to for the representative to clarify any future actions that he believes could stop the hostilities and bring about a peaceful regime in the area. Thank you.
High Representative, would you like to add?
Ya me gustaría a mí.
Yes, I wish I could achieve peace in the Caucasus region and many other areas where there is a need for peace. Unfortunately, we only have the means that we have, which is political influence and any influence we can exert on countries in the region. We do have a special envoy who is in standing contact with the two countries and also the European members of the Minsk group. We are also offering humanitarian assistance, and that is what we are able to do for the moment. If you have any further ideas, please do share them with me.
Thank you very much. Next, Marina Kalyuran from SND. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Honourable High Representative, the EU has recently invested significantly in improving relations between Armenia and Azerbaijan, including several bilateral meetings with the Prime Minister of Armenia and President of Azerbaijan, hosted by the Council President Michel. At the latest such meeting, merely a month ago in Brussels, both sides agreed to start working on a draft peace treaty within a month. 2 weeks later, Azerbaijan launched a large-scale military attack against Armenian territory. A few days ago, a sickening video emerged on Azerbaijani social media, which seems to show the execution of Armenian prisoners. High Representative, which consequences will you recommend to draw for the EU's further engagement in the region? What concrete steps should you, your office and External Action Services take? And finally, how can the EU's new energy partnership with Azerbaijan be put to use for the EU's engagement in favour of a sustainable, long-term settlement on the conflict? Thank you.
Honourable High Representative, may I ask you to give answer?
Gracias, señora.
Thank you very much to the honourable member. Obviously, anything we do has to reflect reality. And Azerbaijan, of course, has bombarded areas which are well into the interior of Armenia. They've been using artillery as well as drones, and we're not seeing a continuation of hostilities over a disputed area. Rather, we're seeing incursions into Armenian territory. Now, the two countries blame each other for the breaking of the ceasefire, but the fact of the matter is that Azerbaijan has bombarded and occupied part of Armenia's territory in this region. So I would really refer you to the remarks I made in response to the last member. What else can we do? We can't do much more than we're already doing. We only have certain capacities available to us. And I would be delighted if you would share with me any ideas you have as to what more we might be doing. But I can assure you that we work tirelessly day in and day out to try and diffuse the situation, and we have met with authorities at the highest level from both countries. We have organised meetings between them, and we are encouraging them to directly embark on peace negotiations. And we are also working to liberate those territories in which landmines are causing many, many victims. We have all these contacts and much more. We're also calling for an investigation to try and ascertain exactly what happened. These videos which show soldiers executing prisoners of war. And the Azeris themselves have said that they are going to launch an investigation. We're also trying to get the Border Commission to meet in Brussels before the end of this month. And it's by no means easy, but the Commission has to map the borders, and certainly we are sparing no diplomatic efforts, and we are mobilizing all the resources at our disposal. We have suggested that there be an EU mediation mission and that we deploy to the border. Armenia agrees, Azerbaijan doesn't. What more do you want us to do? We're not going to be sending EU troops without the agreement of both parties. I mean, certainly not. Would you not agree?
Would you like to ask supplementary question? If not, then it would be very okay, but you have a right currently.
Thank you, High Representative. Yes, I have a couple of ideas. No time to explain them, but I'd like to come to the strategic partnership agreement memorandum that was signed with Azerbaijan. Many argue that the gas deal stands in defiance of EU's climate goals and human rights standards. High Representative, I will be grateful for your assessment of that deal. Thank you.
Honourable High Representative, would you like to respond on supplementary question?
Sí, si se refiere.
Yes. You're referring to the deal with Azerbaijan to increase the gas supply. Yes, indeed, Azerbaijan is giving us, or rather selling us, gas. I mean, given the state of the gas market these days, it is supplying billions of cubic meters of gas to Europe, and thanks to this year's agreement, we will see a substantial increase from 8 to 12. So this will be a 50% increase, therefore, in the volumes being supplied. And there have been no political concessions made when it comes to the conflict as a quid pro quo. I can assure you that the EU, indeed the President of the Commission, personally went to Azerbaijan to negotiate this agreement, which will make it possible for all Europeans to have the energy supplies that they so badly need this winter. This will be the southern gas corridor, so not all Europeans will be supplied with this gas, but those that do get the gas will be most satisfied. And I can assure you this energy agreement does not work to the detriment of human rights or indeed the various democratic issues which have cropped up in the country.
Thank you very much. Next question, Nathalie Loiseau, Renew. Floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, President. Well, to call things incorrectly would be only make things worse in the world, according to Camus. High Representative, Vice President, we have seen that there hasn't been clear language used as to what's happening in the South Caucasus. What we have seen since the 13th of September, Azerbaijan has entered by force onto the internationally recognized area of Armenia. This military aggression happened just a few days after Aliyev's meeting with the Prime Minister under the auspices of Charles Michel. Now, both had reaffirmed at the time that they would be committed to negotiated peace. So we have seen that this is not just an aggression against Armenia, but it's also humiliation for the European Union, not maintaining the commitments that were made before the President of the Council. The Europe will not be able to become greater if it is being treated with mistrust. Now, we need Azerbaijan to be a trustworthy partner, and we know that your special envoy is no more credible when we saw that there were execution of prisoners and the Azerbaijani soldiers. When we see, High Representative, what can you tell us about this particular scenario? Thank you.
Sorry, please.
En efecto, señora.
Indeed, honorable member,
What took place there could be qualified in many ways, and it could also be described in many other ways. What we can see is that what is happening is extremely sad. There's some 300 soldiers who are dead. 207 specifically are Armenian. What we know, and this is absolutely clear, the artillery and the use of drones bombed areas that were within the Armenian territory, destroying civilian infrastructure. And we know that there are some occupied areas occupied by the Azerbaijanis in Armenia. Now, this is absolutely unacceptable. The troops are currently occupying areas within Armenia. This does not respect the internationally recognized borders. The forces are so close that there is a risk of new conflict. It's essentially inevitable. For this reason, once the two leaders met and they had ensured the president of the council that they were committed to an agreement and that there would be a cessation of hostility. So this is clearly not the best possible way to inspire our trust in the diplomatic efforts that are being carried out by the president of the council. Now, I'm sure that the president of the commission was not referring to this precisely, but was referring to the fact that Azerbaijan would fulfill its agreement on gas. So one thing does not take away from the other. Now, what we know is that at this time we have a real problem of trust of the political dialogue that was initiated. Our current arguments would go through requesting a withdrawal of those troops that are currently fighting within the context of the internationally recognized borders. Now, we know that this will not be an easy task. We understand also that we are in our current in a situation of border demarcation where we can see that there is an immediate area of confrontation amongst the two countries. Therefore, we hope that the Border Commission will undertake its efforts yet again in just a few weeks' time in Brussels to be able to avoid situations of this sort.
Would you like to ask a supplementary question? But I really encourage colleagues not to do it, otherwise I have to, because we are in a time limits, but okay, your floor is yours.
L'agression de l'Azerbaïdjan.
Azerbaijani aggression on Armenia is much like Russia's aggression of Ukraine. And Moscow, indeed, is overhauling the world order, and Russia is weakened in Ukraine and therefore is not in a position to protect Armenia, what it was already doing with great difficulty. We cannot stand back and watch Armenia aggressed by its neighbor, and we must go directly there to make sure that we come up with a definitive establishment of the border, as well as the freeing of all of the prisoners and with a full documentation of all war crimes. We defend the same principles both in Kiev and Yerevan. Would you agree to that, High Representative?
Merci, Madame la députée, pour vos encouragements.
Thank you very much for your encouragement. Indeed, I am very much mobilized in all of the areas that you've made mention of. The objectives that are yours are ours. All that you have made mention of, we are trying to achieve with more or less success. And you are correct. Russia invade Ukraine, and well, if this is to be condoned, then why wouldn't another do that? And that is why we are opposed to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and hence what we are doing with a concerted effort to achieve the objectives that you very well put forth.
Thank you. Next question, Andrei Kovachev.
President, dear High Representative. Peace and stability in the South Caucasus region can be only a result of serious and irreversible confidence-building measures. All prisoners of war must be released and all hostilities must stop immediately. The EU must play a very important role as a mediator. Russia, we see very clear, is not interested in solving the issue, but is interested to have a leverage to stay there in the region and to increase their influence. I was shocked by the recent published videos on these atrocities committed against Armenian prisoners of war. A full and impartial investigation must identify those responsible and they must be held to accountable. So my concrete question is the European Union ready to participate in this investigation to find out what is exactly happening, who is responsible, and to be very clear also on Azerbaijan, that Azerbaijan must clearly distance itself from these perpetrators and condemn all kinds of violence. And the second one, does the EU have a plan for confidence building steps between Armenia and Azerbaijan? And this is very concrete what we need to be done. Returning of all prisoners of war, that was the resolutions of the European Parliament, stop all hostilities, achieving a clear demarcation of border and finding a sustainable resolution of the Karabakh conflict. Thank you very much.
High Commissioner, High Representative, sorry again.
Évidemment. Évidemment. C'est tout ça qu'il faut faire.
Yes, clearly, all of this has to be done. I, as you were, was also terrified by these videos. And we also need to ensure the authenticity of these videos. Azerbaijan has said they are willing to open an investigation. Armenia has asked that either the EU or the OSCE send a team to investigate. We are willing to do that, absolutely. Or we can act as an intermediary until the OSCE can send such a mission. But obviously both parties have to want that to happen. I agree with your analysis with regards to the war. Of course, the war must come to an end. We have to find a solution to this conflict in the Nagorno-Karabakh. It's not just about wishful thinking. I share your sentiment there. We're doing everything we can to make sure this actually succeeds.
So, thank you. Would you like to ask a supplementary question?
Concrete question. Did you contact President Aliyev and Prime Minister Pashinyan for a possible date of their next meeting under the EU mediation for sure?
Non, non, non. J'ai pas dit que j'avais.
No, I did not say that I had contacted those presidents. That's not what I said.
Je n'ai pas dit que j'avais contacté les deux présidents.
That's not what I said. I didn't say that we had contacted them. I said that we were working with the Border Commission, not made up of these presidents, could have a meeting in Brussels. So the two presidents met President Michel. Despite these contacts, unfortunately, conflict broke out again. Me, at my level, I am not the interlocutor for these two presidents. I speak with ministers of foreign affairs, and of course I have called on them to ensure that the conflict ends.
Thank you very much. Before I'll give the next floor, I just would like to remind that the order is according to the DONT system, and if there is a technical errors happen, so we will check it, and we will try to do our best. Next question will ask Nacho Sanchez Amor from SND.
Gracias, señor presidente. Señor.
Thank you very much indeed. Mr. Borrell, the regions faced with this horrible video, not of executions, but of assassinations. And we have Russia and Turkey, to a lesser extent, acting as proxies here. And Armenia has essentially been left to its fate by its principal sponsor and protector. Russia has not sent any assistance to Armenia in the face of this military invasion. Now, Turkey has been very noisy, very vociferous about this in many respects and has vaunted its capacity to mediate. We have Azeri drones attacking Armenia, and our Turkish partners, let me reiterate, partners and NATO countries. Does this not suggest, Mr. Borrell, that we need perhaps to exert more leverage over these particular protagonists?
Representative, would you like to react on question?
Sí, claro, tengo.
Yes, obviously, I've got to reply to the question. Of course, I mean, how would I not reply to Mr. Chances-Amour's question? The European Union, of course, uses the instruments at its disposal to try and influence Turkey's position. Turkey, of course, let it be said, continues to support Azerbaijan, and Turkey obviously can use its good offices to diffuse the tensions between the two countries, and it can and ought to play a positive role in seeking to forge dialogue between the two countries to benefit all of the people affected by the war. Turkey, of course, is a NATO ally, but that does not prevent it from taking part in the meeting in Samarkand and in other fora in which Putin might be present, and it does not stop it playing a role in the Southern Caucasus, a role that everybody's aware of. And I don't think that one thing contradicts another, and certainly no NATO member has flagged any kind of incompatibility in those two roles.
Thank you very much. Next question will be asked on behalf of Greens, Jordi Solé.
Sí, gracias, señor Borrell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Borrell. The two leaders of both countries undertook on numerous occasions to continue to negotiate an eventual agreement, peace agreement in August, and despite that, we saw that there was the most recent Azerbaijani incursion into Armenian territory. It was as if Baku wanted to use the occasion to strengthen its position, its negotiating position, in relation to these negotiations, these talks, specifically when it comes to Nagorno-Karabakh, and with the energy and gas agreements that with Azerbaijan gives the country a much stronger position, of course. At the same time, I have this inkling that we are losing Armenian trust in our ability to be able to broker an agreement. Therefore, my question would be as follows, Mr. Borrell. Do you believe that, considering all of these circumstances, we would still have enough influence on Azerbaijan to be able to mediate and broker a fair and sustainable agreement?
Espero que sí, pero
I hope so, but I cannot assure you of it.
Mr. Solé, you already spoke 1.5 minutes. Maybe it's a supplementary question if you. Yes, you cannot ask also a new question. You receive the answer on them. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Next speaker is Peter van Dalen, EPP.
Ja, dank u wel, meneer de voorzitter.
Thank you very much, President. I'm over here, Mr. Borrell. We are here in a political forum, and what we want to see are specific political acts, not just fine words. Azerbaijan is the aggressor here, and we're not going to stop them simply with political dialogue. Azerbaijan only understands force and might. When it comes to Azerbaijan, the aggressor, we need to stop them. We can do this, for example, by ending the gas contract or at least freezing it for the moment. So, as I said, we cannot stop them simply with words. We have to act, and I think we should suspend this gas contract or to scrap it completely.
No sé cuál es la pregunta.
I'm not quite sure what the question is. Now, you're talking about the will to do something. Do you think, are you asking me if I think this will happen? Then the answer is no.
Any supplementary question? No, thank you. Thank you very much. Next question, Kostas Mavridis from SND.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Borrell, being balanced is like the title I see here, tensions between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Being impartial means that we should be straight on the facts. Around the 12th of midnight of September this year, the Azerbaijani armed forces launched a large-scale military attack against the Republic of Armenia in several directions, from the eastern part of Armenia-Azerbaijani border, and this pre-planned attack, they used heavy artillery against numerous cities and nearby villages. Also, this has been an unprovoked and unjustified aggression against the sovereignty of Armenia. I can go on and on, but I'm going to ask you a few questions. Are you ready to consider proposing sanctions against Azerbaijan? Second, to ask for Turkey to exert its influence on Azerbaijan is unfortunate, to say the least, for one good reason. Turkey, it's part of, and with military cargo flights.
Okay. Sorry, colleague, I have to cut you. Honorable High Representative, would you like to react on question?
Una pregunta.
So, I heard a question about sanctions. I didn't hear any other question. Perhaps next time round you can try and reformulate that question. But on the subject of sanctions, all I would say is that, to my knowledge, none of the member states have put this on the table. Sanctions are a matter for the member states, of course, as you know.
Also a time of High Representative, and also we are in delay, so no more supplementary questions. Sorry about that. I will give the floor to the next, for the next question, Mr. Jordan Bardella.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, President. High Representative, my question will be simple and extremely direct. In your eyes, what is more important, Azerbaijani gas or Armenian blood? I think I know the answer because the President of the Commission has signed an agreement to double the gas supplies without defending the Armenians that have been attacked on their land. We saw the summary execution of the Armenian soldiers by the Azerbaijani soldiers. And so what are you waiting for? with Baku. Has Europe become completely incapable of making decisions and taking positions in the world? And what about Turkey, a NATO member that is defending the Azerbaijani interests? Now, I'm not asking for more than to understand your blind ideology that is sacrificing the brotherhood of the European Union with our Armenian people. We can see that the country is burning and we're looking elsewhere.
Floor is yours.
No he detectado ninguna pregunta.
I didn't actually hear a question in your speech that would merit an answer, because a comparison between blood and gas seems absolutely nonsense. And so you might think that it is worthwhile, but this is a debate where I think we should have serious questions that then I could seriously answer.
Parliamentary questions because we are delays. No, I will not do it. Yeah. Next question goes to Charlie Weimers from ECR.
Hallucinant. Hallucinant.
Surrounded by Azeri soldiers, you surrender. You drop your weapons to the ground, place your hands in the air. Suddenly, you're thrown to the ground. Your brothers in arms are herded together, lambs to the slaughter. Without provocation, an Azeri soldier fires a hail of bullets at one of your fellow servicemen. These are your final moments. Do you say a prayer? Do you hang on to the memory of your loved ones? This war crime, recorded, one among many committed by the Azeri armed forces over the past 2 years. High Representative Borrell, you condemned the atrocities committed by Russia against Ukrainians, and rightly so. Will you condemn war crimes committed by Azerbaijan against Armenia? Thank you.
Honorable High Representative, floor is yours.
Condeno naturalmente todo.
Of course, I would condemn any war crimes wherever they may occur or whoever may perpetrate these crimes.
Thank you. Next question, Emmanuel Morel from the left.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Alors...
Thank you very much indeed. Mr. Borrell wants questions, apparently. Well, let me put one to you, Mr. High Representative. Why are you so timorous in respect of Azerbaijan, where you're so combative on other issues? I mean, we know there is an aggressor and there is a victim. We've got videos of Azeris shooting Armenian prisoners of war at point-blank range. And so what really bothers me and leads me to ask this question is why Europe does not take a more robust stance. Now, I can understand this makes you feel uncomfortable because you have said that with much fanfare, President von der Leyen signed this gas deal with Azerbaijan. But I think Europeans get the impression that we've got double standards here. So we're all being very firm in condemning Russia's aggression towards Ukraine, quite rightly so. But we seem to be more reluctant to condemn what is happening in Armenia. We've got an aggressor which should be firmly condemned as well as sanctioned. I mean, there are international conventions to which Azerbaijan is a signatory, and so those who have perpetrated war crimes must be held to account. And that is why we will continue to ask you these questions.
Muchas gracias, señor diputado.
Thank you very much indeed, honourable member. Of course, you're free to ask me any questions you like and you feel warrant a reply. And I will give you the same reply as I have given on several occasions. Why would you wish me to condemn less than you any violation of human rights? I mean, I condemn them just as much as you do. Of course I do. And I have explained that all acts which involve a violation of human rights are ones which we condemn. we are calling for an investigation, and we are calling for people to be held to an account. I mean, these are terrible videos, and of course an investigation is required, and that is precisely what Azerbaijan has said it will do. Now, you might have your doubts about the results of those investigations and feel they might be partial, but Azerbaijan has said that it will investigate those events, and the EU and the OSCE have also said that they are prepared to investigate. And we've also said that there has been an attack on Armenia's territory, and the Azeri troops have occupied part of Armenia's territory, and we've called on them to withdraw, and we're doing everything in our power to try to bring about a normalization of the situation, and we certainly want to hold account to anybody who has perpetrated violations of human rights. What more do you want me to say? And of course I can express indignation, but what else do you want me to do?
Thank you very much. Next speaker, next question goes to Karen Melchior, Renew.
Thank you very much. There is an internet meme which is the EU concerned? High Representative, you spoke about the EU's credibility. The EU's credibility is at stake here. Georgia, Armenia, Ukraine, we've seen frozen conflicts and we've seen aggression. But what is the European Union actually doing? How are we responding to Azerbaijan's aggressive invasion of Armenia? On Thursday in Prague, there is a meeting in the European political community. There will be a discussion, I think at 2 o'clock, where we'll be discussing peace and security. Why is Azerbaijan invited to this meeting?
High Representative, please.
Esta reunión está en...
This meeting was convened by the President of the Council, and they therefore convened the countries that are in our vicinity, and therefore they invited a country with which we have an association agreement, because the European Parliament did not request suspension thereof. And so you too are a part of the European Union, if you allow me to say so. This European Parliament is the European Union. You believe that if there's an initiative that must be taken, then take it. If you do not want Azerbaijan to be invited, there's an easy way to do that. Ask in this chamber for the association agreement to be suspended.
So, thank you, High Representative. I think we have to close here our debate, taking account that we are much delay, and High Representative has an agenda, and we will not continue like that. We have 12 speakers according to the system, and 5 minutes. It's a case. Would you like to say, Mr. Castaldo, something on procedure?
Sì, Presidente, io vorrei protestare perché lei ha detto...
Yes, thank you, President. I do want to protest because you said that you would be applying the D'Hondt principle during the debate, but you have not taken account of the non-attached, and I think that this is a breach of our democratic rights. We are members as well, and you know, we simply don't count, and so we have rights along with all the other speakers who are members of political groups. And I was here in time. I wanted to take part in the debate, and I think that your approach is profoundly anti-democratic. We are members on the same footing as others, and we're not second-class citizens in this parliament.
Yes, I agree, but I have this news about the timing. We are much behind the schedule, and that's why it was my decision according to that. I agree it's not democratic, but it's the situation. Thank you for understanding. Now we have a next point in agenda. Nākamais tātad darba kārtības jautājums ir komisijas priekšsēdētāja vietniece.
The next issue is